Hello and welcome to Setting Up and Starting to Sell on Amazon. My name is Rob Boyle. I'm head of UK and EU Marketplace for Infinity Blue Group. Infinity Blue is a channel growth partner, so we look at companies all around the world and the marketplaces which are suitable for them. Today I'll be talking specifically about Amazon. Is it right for you? What's involved? And how to set up, how to get going, and how to basically have effective listings. So let's get started then. So why would we choose Amazon and Marketplace? Well, there's some stats there on the screen that show the reasons for doing it. 89% of consumers are more likely to buy from Amazon than other sites. 66% start their search on Amazon. 47% even, of Amazon's 150 million Prime members buy online every week, and that's understandable. If you pay for the Prime, you want that next day delivery, so you're going to go to Amazon and buy your product if it's there and competitively priced. And 75% of buyers will be new to you, and if you're not selling on Amazon, you're going to miss a big share of the sales. So these are some of the reasons why you'd want to basically sell on Amazon. Questions you need to ask yourself on the strategy if you're looking to sell on Amazon. Are you selling your own branded product? Are you selling a product that already exists on Amazon and you have the same product, the same barcode product, so you'll be on their listing? Are you looking at selling just in the UK, or are you looking at the EU as well, or a combination of both? And are you going to dispatch your own orders or use Amazon's FBA network? So if we split the down to the if you have your own brand or if you're selling a brand which already exists on Amazon. Obviously with your own brand, you own that brand. It's totally new to Amazon. You have full control of creating the listing. You have full control of the images that are shown, the titles, bullet points, and all the messaging around that. The downsides are you don't have any reviews, so your product starts from scratch at zero, and you'll be competing directly on price with businesses who sell similar items to yours. Obviously, if you're already listed on Amazon, you jump onto the listing, and that has some benefits. But the fact that the listings already exists, someone's gone to the time to create new titles, bullet points, everything that's involved around having a really good listing. So you do benefit from that, and of course the reviews that they've gained. The downside is you can't make any changes if you feel that the listing isn't good enough to sell your product. And also you'll be competing with other sellers, and there's probably quite a few other ones on price to get the buy box. The buy box isn't always just about price, but usually, if all being equal, price is a big factor, and we'll go into that in some more detail later on. So are you looking for the UK only or UK and EU? So we advise, and most people set up an account in the UK only to begin with, get selling there, almost have that thing of proof of concept of the product and it's selling well. If it does, you can use something called Bill, which is the Build International Listings tool built into Amazon, and that'll automatically send your products over to Italy, Spain, France and Germany, and it will translate them to you. The translations have got a lot better recently with better AI to help translate. So that is a big factor. You can ship directly into the EU and have your products in warehouses of Amazon's in the EU, but it gets a little bit more complicated where you need importer records. You also need to have VAT registration and other import obligations, which you won't go into now, but you can look into if that's something you're wanting to do, or we can advise on that. So are you going to be selling your products and fulfilling them yourself, or are you going to be using Amazon's fulfillment network? What's the difference, and what do we mean by that? So if you use Amazon's fulfillment network, you basically put all your products into Amazon, so you can send them in bulk, send them into Amazon, and they hold them there and they dispatch them and they give them Prime and they take care of everything, packaging and all that side of it. If you ship yourself, then you get the orders and you package the products yourself and you ship them out. Pluses and minuses of both. Of course, with the Amazon one, they're not going to do it for free. So if you send your products in, you're going to have to pay additional costs for packaging, and you're going to have to pay storage fees if the products are there for quite a while. They'll charge you those as well. So those are factors to consider. So talking of factors to consider in pricing, we have pricing considerations. So being competitively priced is key to help define your product and help it to sell. Things to consider when looking at how you come up with your pricing. It's obviously the cost of goods sold, how much the products cost to start with. If you're fulfilling into Amazon, so sending your products into Amazon warehouses, then obviously the shipping costs to Amazon to consider. There's a storage cost based on the size of the product within Amazon. Amazon obviously have fees depending on the category of the product. They could range from 7 to 15%. The fulfillment fees, as mentioned before, so the packaging, postage, depending on the size of item, those are considerations. And of course, the VAT fees, depending on the country, but in the UK it's 20%. There are calculators within Amazon which help work out from your product the size and weight and what the fees would be, or if your product's already listed on Amazon, you could put in the product that's already listed and it will tell you all the fees related to that product at the price point, which is very useful. Other pricing considerations we need to look at are returns from the customer. You've got to factor if you get returns, and Amazon makes it very easy for people to return things, and you'll get charged. Cost of third-party storage. So if you're using a 3PL, third-party logistics, to store and ship out your products, or if you're doing it yourself, you've got to pay for your warehouse, you've got to pay for your staff to send the products out, so there's our costs there, which is the third-party fulfillment fees. Other costs to consider are advertising costs. It has been shown that new products, when you start to advertise with them from the beginning, makes a huge difference in terms of the growth of the product and in sales over the ones that haven't had advertising. So we look at 10% of your sales as a minimum. Removal costs, that's a consideration. If your product doesn't sell and it's been in Amazon for quite a while, then you can get charge fees, so you might want to get asked for them to destroy your stock or send it back to you, but there's costs involved there. As I said, the storage fees there is £4.30 for cubic foot, so these are considerations. So you decide to set up in Amazon and sell your products. What do you need to do? Well, you need to have an account set up, so there's a link there which I'll also put in the notes. You need to choose a professional seller's account and basically follow the instructions there. Things you'll need: business location, VAT numbers, your personal name, address, passport details. They ask for that. They ask for a lot of information personally. It's not just a business. It's all to do with money laundering and making sure you're legit business. So see it as a positive thing, and of course all your bank details. So you set up your account and you can have your first listing ready to go. Now what you need there, well, here's a great example of a really good listing, and this one has 7 images. We can see there the product image is usually the first picture. We also advise lifestyle shots, which would be, in this case, this is leather care kit, and I think they did car ones, so you could have someone cleaning a car seat with the product, and obviously before and after, and how a difference it makes. Just images. Put yourself in the consumer's shoes, and what would you want to see? What would make you sort of look at this product and think, yeah, this is a product I'd like to buy. It does what I want, and you just convey that. Bullet points are really important as well, because people look at images, but also if you can have standout bullet points with good titles at the beginning and quite descriptive, that really helps. You'll see some listings with just like 3 words or something per bullet point, but that just is very factual. But you need to almost, great opportunity to sell the product here on all the features and benefits. And of course, one of the most important ones is the title. You can see there 150 characters. You want to explain the product in as much detail as you can. Again, we would go into more sort of keyword based search terms to help your product's ranking. But in this this example, we're looking also at very descriptive listings, and titles. So that's where that kind of covers. But this is a really good example. Earlier I talked about the buy box, and just to explain what the buy box is, you'll see the arrow there to the basket buy now. If you have a product and you're selling the same product, so in this case it's the light bulbs, and you have the same light bulb, and you put that on with the barcode and it links to this listing already set up, you would see just below dispatched from Amazon or sold by, have a company name there. That's who's what we call winning the buy box. They're the people that Amazon, the company, or sometimes it says Amazon is itself, showing of who is the person who's got the buy box, who's going to sell most products there. A lot of it's to do with price. We'll go into more details about how to win the buy box and things you're looking at, but that's what the buy box is. And lower down, other sellers selling the same product, you can see there, but most people would just click on that big buy box button. They don't scroll down and look at other sellers. So as I mentioned, how to win the buy box, reasons to win, of course, is 90% of Amazon sales are through the buy box. Mobile versions shows the buy box more prominently, and you have to scroll down with other sellers, which really rarely happens. That's why 90% would go on Amazon and hit the buy box straight away. Or advertise for products stops working when you lose the buy box. So if you do advertising and you're advertising your products, if you lose the buy box, so someone else wins it, possibly by just having a better price than you, your advertising will stop. Otherwise you'd be advertising their product, and you don't want to do that. Brand recognition and trust for buy box winners. Again, you would probably click that button rather than scroll down and find someone else. You just trust that listing. And losing the buy box may result in a loss of organic and advertising sales. So the criteria: fulfillment method by FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, will usually always win the buy box. So as we mentioned earlier, if you're fulfilling the products yourself from your own warehouse and someone has the same product in Amazon as in the FBA in their Amazon warehouse, they're more likely to win the buy box from you. It's another reason to send products in. You can get Prime with your own products selling from your own warehouse. We'll go into that a little bit more in detail later. As I say, it's not always the cheapest price. You can look, there's other factors which we'll talk about to do with seller performance that you need to take into account. Shipping time as well. If you're quite slow, if you're sending your own products out, that will affect the buy box. If you have stock, of course. Order defect rate, again, and that's in the back end of the health section. And valid tracking and keeping all your health up to date are also important factors. So most people look at the buy box as a price thing, and that does seem to be the main point, but do look at these other factors as well. other backend information. Backend information is when you're setting up your listing in the Seller Central section of Amazon. That's behind the scenes, not what the customer sees, but where you put all your details in. There's other things you could put in. There's keywords you could put there. Obviously, put your price, your dimensions, color, country of origin, warranties. All these things help the listing. So the more information you can put in the back end, the better. And this is what Infinity Blue we specialize in, making sure that listings are as good as they can be. Brand registry is important. So we talked, Ray, at the beginning about having your own products, so no one else sells it, it's your product. So you can, if you have a trademark, you can set up a brand registry for yourself. How does that help? Well, it provides additional features within Amazon, which is really important. So you can have, obviously you can decide what images you want to show, as we talked about, what titles you want to put, what bullet points. But on top of all that, you can also what's called A+ content, as you'll see there. That's content. So when you scroll down through the listing, the top of the listing, you'll see an extra section on some listings which goes into details about the products, explain the videos. If it's a food thing, it could be recipes. It's just another way for Amazon to showcase your listing and make it stand out from the competition. So this is one great feature of having brand registry. Brand store. This is almost like a mini website within Amazon. So having a brand store is great. You can showcase all your products. You can have navigations for different types of products. If you sell different ones, like if you sold hair dryers or shampoos, you could have different pages showing that. So that's a really good thing. Something new that came in was brand story, which if you have a story behind your brand, or it's well, biggest or smallest brand, it's just another way of actually talking about your brand, and it adds to the listing. It's just other ways of filling the listing, because there's a lot of noise on the listings. You get a lot of advertising and other products Amazon are trying to sell at the same time. So the more of that, what I call real estate, you can fill, the better it would be. And you get extra tools, so you can improve your sponsored ads by having brand advertising. You can have brand dashboards, analytics, gives you lots more information, and the most important is you keep the quality of your listings and you keep yourself on message. All touch points are within your kind of brand, and you're not getting someone else coming along and sort of jumping on your listing, because you can get rid of them if they do that, but on trashing it. So it's a really good way to have, and definitely something to consider if you have your own brand. The requirements for that, there's a link there, I'll put in the notes as well, to sign up for brand registry. You've got to have the trademark certificates, images that clearly show your brand, name and logo, project categories. It's quite self-explanatory, but you have to go through this process of registering, and it can take a few weeks. So this is almost the sooner you start doing it, when you decide you're going to sell on Amazon, the better. So move to deals and coupons within Amazon. You can have, obviously there's things you have Prime Day, you have Black Friday, you can have special deals within Amazon that you run, lightning deals. You may have seen those, where so many products are for sale at a discounted price for a period of time. You can have coupons. So there's lots of different deals you can have, and these are a way to boost your sales. Of course, the more sales you get, the more reviews you hopefully get, the more Amazon sees you relevant for that product, gives you more organic reach for those products. So it all helps. Amazon advertising, we've talked about that. So the sponsored product ads, those are the ads that show within, when you type something and you get listings, and they'll show at the top, usually with sponsored products, but they can show down throughout the page as well. Brand ads, we talked when you're brand registered. You can take more advantage. You can have bigger ads, video ads, ads with a main image and 3 products. These are all just things that are really, really good, and that another reason, if it's your product, to be brand registered. And sponsored placement ads. These are ads that can appear on competitors' listings. So if you have, if you know of a competitor, and when somebody looks at their listing, your little ad could appear there, and you're hoping that they would decide not to buy the product they're on, but have a look at your product, and you only pay when somebody clicks on that, and then hopefully they'll go to your product, see it's a better fit for them, and buy your product. So just expanding on that, sponsored search ads, as you can see there, with the camera and where it says sponsored, and sponsored brand ads is at the top, where, as I mentioned, you got like a main image and then 3 other products there. So there's different ways of advertising, and again, they're all pay per click, so it's only when somebody clicks on the ad are you charged. So what is Amazon Seller Central? So this back end of Amazon that I talked about before. So this is the platform that the seller has within Amazon. It helps you to manage inventory, update your listings. You can talk to your buyers if they ask any questions. You could see all the orders, what you need to process. You have access to all the advertising tools, all the promotional tools, the A+ content we talked about, you build that there. The stores, you build that there as well, and brand story, that's all within the Seller Central, which is the back end of Amazon. Reporting, the reports. Amazon gives you really good details of the products that sold, the days they sold, what's sold against last week, how have you performed, have you done better, have you done worse. You can break it down by all your products, and there's loads and loads of details on reporting within the back end, within Seller Central, to help you make informed decisions moving forward. The account health, we talked about that, the defect rate, negative feedback. You can get what's called A to Z claims, when people make a claim against you because you've not answered their questions. This is all about, basically, Amazon want you to give the best customer service for its customers, its Amazon customers, because you're on their platform. So it holds you accountable, and these are all criteria you need to meet. You need to make sure you're sending the products out on time, the late dispatch rate. You've got to make sure that the products, getting there in good order. If somebody asks a question, you're replying to it in a certain time. It's just holding you accountable, and if you're not, then you can get your listing suspended, you can have your account closed. There's quite a lot of penalties behind that. I mean, there's quite a lot to go into on account health, but the main thing is just to be aware that there is a health system within there, and you need to make sure you're keeping within Amazon guidelines to ensure your products and your listings aren't suspended. If you're thinking of moving from the UK into Europe, you can simply add other countries. You can show that the strategy there, that the labelling, the packaging has to be, well, it helps if it's within the country. So if you're sending something to Germany to sell there, you want to make sure that you looked at the packaging, and is the German parts on it, or the instructions, do they have German or French, or wherever you're doing it. Again, we talked about the Build International Listings tool to make the initial transition from the UK into EU. What that means is, not only does it move the listings across to the EU, but you can have a system where European Fulfilment Network is called, EFN, and that sends your products from the warehouses in the UK over to Europe. So you don't actually have to even put the products into Europe. Of course, there's higher charges involved with that, so that's something to take into consideration. But you could have your listings in the UK, they could be selling well. You open up into Europe, and somebody buys something in Europe, and it's sent from the UK over to Europe, so you don't have to. It's a way of proving concepts, I think, and to seeing whether the products would work within Europe without having to go to all the effort about the VAT, the duty, importer of record, and all those sort of things which are involved with selling in Europe. So we have fulfillment by merchant and fulfillment by Amazon. We did talk about this earlier on. It's just another slide to do this for international fulfillment. So you can organise your shipments from your 3PL warehouse within the UK, or it could be overseas. So you could send your products over to a 3PL within Germany, and that could be fulfilled throughout the whole of Europe. You could have that place for returns as well. You could send them into Amazon fulfillment centres if you sent them in, and they would do all that. So there's different ways to fulfill within Amazon, within Europe, and there's something else called the Pan-EU fulfillment system there. So that's multi-country inventory. So if you send your stock into Germany and somebody buys something in France using the European fulfillment network, the Pan-EU network, sorry, that will be moved from Germany across to France, and that will be fulfilling the order there. So it kind of Europe sits within that. Before Brexit, UK was involved in that, but since Brexit and UK split away, then it's slightly separate. So the Pan-EU is just the main European countries. So to summarise, and certain further resources, so we've covered the basics of Amazon, including setting up your account, fulfilling your orders yourself, or using Amazon's FBA network. We've created how you create a top ranking listing, becoming brand registered, the promotional opportunities and advertising through Amazon, Seller Central, what does it do, reporting, account health, and adding countries into Europe. There are other places you can find information from. One is Seller University on Amazon. So when you sign up into Amazon, there is a whole section there to help you, sell on all these factors here. Jungle Scout's another really great how to sell on Amazon. And of course, Infinity Blue, this is what we do for our clients. We help them with all these factors that I've just talked about on these slides, and we're more than happy to have a conversation with you to see whether we can work with you and help you sell successfully in the UK and Europe. So thank you very much, and any questions, I'll put the links down so you can contact me. Thank you now. Bye bye.